What? Hello. So I can track in D major today. What you say, brother? And let's start a track, then spend 4 hours working on one single serum patch. Oh yes, more of that, please. What about remake something today? I think it will be cool to see if you can recreate someone's track drop. Oof, that is gonna be very, very annoying to watch, because I'm just gonna like keep tweaking a sound until it works. Not a fun time, trust me. Not a fun time. No, nada, no. Not a fun time. Okie dokie. A Space Laces remake. Are you crazy? You want me to remake Space Laces? That would be crazy. I don't know. His sound design is ridiculous. I mean, it would probably be a lot of FM, white noise, and bring mod. Let me get everything set up, and then we'll get the party started. Where's the music at, by the way? I just played this. What the hell? Come on. Come on, man. Come on, man. There we go. The music is working again. I will just quickly position the camera, and we will get started with the stream. Okay, let's do a quick test. Let me test the system. Let me see that everything is working. Looks pretty good. That is hopefully the right cam. Hola. Welcome. Oh. There we go. Hope you guys are doing well. Pee pee poo poo check. Pee pee poo poo is working. Oh damn, I just got some ringing in my ears. That's the good type of ringing though. That happens when... Oh, my tracking just went off. That's the good type of ringing. Like, there's two types of ringing, right? The one type of ringing that is tinnitus. That is the bad type that never goes away. And then there's the good type, which is a ringing that occurs when your ears are... So your ears can't really... are bad at telling you that they're in bad shape. So what they do instead is that they tell you when they're in good shape. So when you have this like weird high-pitched ringing from time to time... What the fuck was that? When you have that... Jesus Christ, just let me do this. Thank you. That means that your ears are actually decent. There we go. Very sorry about that. NASCAR is finally German. Yes. Yes, I am. Let me drag this screen over to the other window so I can actually see everything. Perfect. Jesus, what was that car outside? Cool. So, hope you guys are doing well. Because today is a very interesting day. Today is the April 1st, which, man, I should have really thought about a... Am I directly looking at the screen or not? I think I am. I should have thought about a way to prank you guys, but I was too busy making the sample pack and the two actually free Ableton racks that I have just uploaded to both the Discord and the Patreon. And I'm going to show these to you. So for everyone that doesn't know yet, I've started Patreon before March, early before March. And I already have a first sample pack on there. And now it's the second month of the official Patreon, so we get a new sample pack. And 2 actually free racks, which are technically 2. One is an extension of the other rack. But what I wanted to do is I wanted to quickly show you these, because these are very cool racks that have a very interesting concept to them. And I also wanted to use the sample pack to make some color base, because that's the whole point of this. The sample pack is to really give you a lot of options when it comes to color base, because it's really difficult to make bass sounds kind of work for color base. But I've come up with a new type of sample system, which I call multi-chords or multi-chords. Basically what they are is that one bass one shot in a specific key, and then that bass one shot keeps pitching up in the respective scale. So usually there's 7 major chords in every scale, and so in one sample you have all of the different chord variations covered, which is pretty damn cool. Because this allows you to write complete progressions without actually having to pitch whatever sample you have. You won't lose quality, and it won't sound off, because obviously if you pitch a chord sample, then it's off in the notes and everything. So with that being said, what I wanted to do is I wanted to go ahead and introduce you guys to the sample pack that you can get by subscribing to the Elite tier on the Patreon. And since we hit over 100 Patreons already, there's going to be some extra goodies this month. So I hope you guys are excited, as excited as I am, because this sample pack I've put a lot of thought into. It's not just like a regular sample pack that's just there to exist, but this one's trying to scratch the surface of something new that is only really possible due to things like retune or pitch map. So let's get into it. I'll go ahead and open up the other screen. Hopefully that was a smooth transition. I'll go over to the green screen here, and I'll go ahead and I have to position my... Actually, just have to do it like this, right? That should work. Everything's working. Everything's workende. Perfect. I'll go with the dark metal for now. Is Patreon available in Russia? I don't know if it is. Especially with the current situation, I have no idea, honestly. So, with that being said, let's get into this sample pack. Let me turn on the music here. So, this sample pack consists of a total of 82 samples compared to the previous sample pack from the first month, which is this one, which was a total of 60 samples. And if I go ahead and quickly look at something here, I'll be right back. Let me go. There we go. And I'm really close to the camera, aren't I? And you kind of have that as a default setup there. Oh, we're good. Okay, we're fine. Cool. So this is... I'll open up the actual file here so you can see. I'll go number 2. Yeah, so this is the sample pack. This is the NASCAR sample Patreon sample pack volume 2 with a nice little artwork here. The first one had another cool little USB, and this one has one that's a little bit more fitting to the style here. And this sample pack is interesting because it's really focused on tonality. So whereas, for example, in the first sample pack that we have over here, I can also, let me check that we are on the right side. Perfect. We had a couple of bass one shots, so most of this was drums, cymbals, and stuff. we had these bass glitches, which were pretty cool and very useful as well as actual like bass hits. But now with Patron sample pack number 2, we get a whole lot more samples. Whereas when we look at the first sample pack, we have drums, we have rides, we have cymbal loops, claps, and bass glitches. Now we have a bunch more stuff. We have these bass multi-chord basses. We have tonal bass glitches. We have tonal background effects, atonal background effects. Obviously, the kicks and the snares as well. We have layer stabs. We have a couple of toms that I've made, so you can make your own drum rolls and tom rolls, and the 2 very much requested risers that I've always been using. My signature riser that all of you guys are probably very familiar with. But on top of that, you get the signature riser deluxe, which sounds like this. I'll turn off the music here. So that is the I felt your monarchy's your favorite for making dubstep basses. Oh god, hell no. That is the signature riser deluxe that you can get inside the sample pack. If you guys know what meme this is, it should be pretty simple to identify. But yeah, so the main attraction here is, and I'll go back to let me check. I'll open up the README, which is right over here. And let me go ahead and... So I'm actually positioned quite above. I'll go and fix this really quickly, because I'm really positioned a little bit wrongly here. I'll go ahead and move the camera up a little bit, I believe. That should kind of fix the situation. Yes. That fixes the situation easily. There we go. Cool. So I'll go back to Alt-2. And here we are. So this is the README. So let's get a little bit of an introduction to multi-chords. Also, let me open up the stream again, so I can see everything. So bass multi-chord samples, the way they work is, and I'll just read this. I'll actually just drag the first one so you can hear what it sounds like. So this is what a multi-chord sample sounds like. This is what it sounds like. And basically what's happening is, and I'll just read the text editor here for a little bit. Also, you guys can hear me, right? Perfect. So this is the very first iteration of my multi-chord samples. I'm gonna just play the music here. How to use. So every multi-chord sample is in a specific key/scale. So as you can see, we have 2 multi-chord samples that are in D minor. Then we have 2 which are in E minor, 2 which are in F minor, 2 which are in D sharp minor, 2 which are in C sharp minor. Now you can actually have these be major keys as well, because every minor key has a relative major key, so that's perfect. And also you can obviously use an F minor key as an E minor key by just pitching it down once, which is also cool. But it gets much more complex than that. So, a multi-chord sample covers all 7 basic chords that are inside of any key. The sample starts with the first bass hit, which is the key's root note. So, the way you can imagine this is if we open up a MIDI channel and we go with D minor. So, we're going to go turn on D minor here. And we start with the root note, which is obviously D, as in D minor. This is basically the first note that the multi-chord sample is playing. And then the next note here is basically the note E, which is inside of the scale. Then we get to F. Then we get to G. Then we get to A sharp, or B flat B, I think it's called B flat. and then we get to C. So basically, if we just dragged in a serum and just listen to it, you can hear, except for the last one, which is an octave lower, because otherwise it would be too high. If you consider things like sub and stuff, right? If we get too high in the key, we should probably go an octave lower. Basically, what this means is that all of these samples here are properly pitched. They're properly scaled to whatever scale you're playing, and you can easily tell this by, for example, if I play something like that, just playing different. So yeah, let's just keep reading the notes here. After that, so the sample starts with the first bass hit, which is the keys root note, which is the D here. After that, the sample plays the next bass note / chord in the respective key scale until the final note, which is there is 7 of, right? There's always 7 different chords in a scale. Multi-chord samples allow you full flexibility when it comes to writing drops as chord progressions. Pitching normal chord samples results in loss of quality and is not compatible with scales. I can easily show you this by taking the very first bass hit here. And this is, if you take a look at the scale here, we would have to go up 2 semitones to get an E, which will work for the sub, but not, as you can hear, it doesn't work for the harmonics of the sound, because not all of the harmonics are now pitched to E. And if we listen to the original, this is what it should sound like, and this is what it sounds like fake. And this is a common problem with chord samples, is that you don't really get any pitch hooks, or you don't get any pitch correction when pitching these up. You can do this with retune. The issue with retune is, though, is that if you use something like retune, and we load this up, and we go with a D chromatic to minor, it doesn't really sound that well either. We have to... Another thing you can tell is as well that we obviously lose quality here, right? So the sub is really suffering from this retune, and it doesn't sound that clean, while this sounds damn clean. And this is a combination, so making these was really, really difficult. But this is a combination of using a little bit of retune to fix some of the tonality issues, but also just having the initial patch actually play that note is a big difference. So yeah, let's just keep reading the file. So pitching normal chord samples results in loss of quality and is not compatible with scales. Multi-chord samples have all 7 different chord note variations covered and are full quality. Here's the example. N bass 01 multi-chord D minor. So we have sample 1 is playing D, then we have E, F, G, A sharp, C. And that's basically it. So for example, if we were to take D sharp minor here, and we were to go in here, and let's get rid of this. There we go. And if we were to, for example, pick one of these background back effects that are tonal as well, so we are in D. Let's go to back effects 2, which is in D minor. It'll sound like this. And then we could just pick something else here, so we can make our own little chord progression. Let's pick the next one. Let's pick probably... And then we have something like this. And we can check if this is all in key by just loading up a serum, for example. going with a scale here. So let's go with a minor scale, of course, and let's use a chord function here. Let's go 4, 7, 16, and then let's go with a D, and then we can just kind of play the same notes here. So we start with an E. No, we start with a D. Then we go up to, I believe, which is a B flat. Then we go down to an E. And you can hear how that's working. So let's just throw on a LFO tool and just kind of have it follow the rhythm. And we can obviously pick the last one as well, which sounds really, really nice. The last one always, the last chord always complements the first one. And then we would have to fix that here as well. So someone said ready for release. Yeah, pretty much. So now if we were to start adding all of the drum samples and stuff, so let's just go to the mids here, and let's throw the back effects into the back effects folder. Let's go to our drum section and let's pick some of the really, really cool drum samples that are in this sample pack. So I have a couple ones here. Oh, this is the right project, and then we'll just drag in one of these trappy kicks. And then we'll pick the very first snare, which is kind of like really, really, really useful for this kind of style. And that's obviously fix the sidechain. Let's go with a 0 and a 1. 0 and 1. Let's drag in a cymbals loop. And then obviously we can start like doing some more complex rhythms. So let's put this onto a complex pro. And let's do dun. Let's do dun dun dun. Bum bum bum. And let's make these two shorter. So I'll just do something like this. And then obviously we have a different note here. So all we have to really do here is just kind of go through these samples. You can also go in here and kind of just move this. So we can kind of just move this around until we find the right sample here. So let's kind of move this here. Let's do that. Oops. Bam. Oops. Copy this. And then do the same thing here again. And then we have these other ones here. So let's just cut this out. And just again, I believe you can kind of scroll through. Let me see. We can kind of scroll through here and we can kind of see the samples. So we're going to go over to this one we had, and then we have to go to this one. So it's very simple to kind of go through the different chords, which is really cool. And then here we have bam bam bam, and then we're gonna follow the same rhythm here. So I'm gonna do, and then do the same thing here, and then very simply just go through them until we hit the right chords here, and then just replace these with these ones. I think you can also move multiple ones now with 11.1. Yeah, you can do that if you wanted to. And you can still see the sound. Oh, that's so much easier, actually. And then copy this again, put this here. And then bam! And then we have this, right? Let's move it. do you feel about being this good? What do you mean? And then we have another cool few things here in the sample pack, which is down here. We have these layer stabs. So what these are all tonal, which means that all of these players in a specific key, they're not necessarily like a chord, but they are supposed to be used in a specific key. So we have, and we're going to use the D minor here. So maybe we're going to use it only on the second part here. And then maybe we're going to switch to the other one. And maybe we're going to start with this one. And then we can actually pick one of these other ones. So for example, we're going to go with E minor. And then we're going to go like this. But obviously these are not in key. So in this case, it's fine to just pitch them down until we are in key. So let's just go open up a MIDI so we can see. So we are, this one's in E, which means we are to above, so we just have to go down to semitones. And then here we can actually just pick another one, maybe. Let's pick this one, which is in C sharp. So we take a look, C sharp. Okay, we only have to go up one. So let's not even, let's just pitch it up. Like, why not, right? And then we get something like that. And then maybe we can clean it up a little bit with an LFO tool. Maybe we can add another one in here. So let's go. This is the old sample pack. Maybe let's go with this one. And this is D sharp, so we just have to go down one, I believe. Right? Yes. And then we can just put that in here. And let's just try to delay these bass one shots here a little bit. So throw on a delay and just delay these a little bit. And maybe we want to add another back effects. So let's go ahead and add another one of these tonal back effects. Maybe this one. This one is in D minor, so let's just put it down one semitone. And you can tell how we can immediately get something extremely complex and rich in harmonics. And the cool part is that a lot of these bass, like these multi-chord bass samples that I've done, they all sound quite different. So if we go through these, some of these are obviously shorter and some are longer. And what's really cool about these, and there's one little thing you have to know, is that in almost all of these, the second chord doesn't quite fit. So if we take this one, it's just any chord or any multi-chord bass we use, the second chord here, in most cases, doesn't really sound good. It almost sounds weird. And this is actually a weirdly natural occurrence with the second chord in any key. So for example, if we take, let's take a serum here, and we'll turn the scale on, we'll turn off the loop. If we go ahead and just write in a simple, extremely simple D minor chord, and then we go to the next one and the next one, and we'll just kind of fix these. Then you will notice if we keep doing this, right? So we're going to keep going up and then keep fixing these notes here. So this one seems to be fine. Then this one needs to probably move up. And then we go to the last one, which is the 7th. You will tell, or you will be able to tell that in any key, the second chord, the second bass note just doesn't fit. Listen to this second one. It feels dissonant. It feels like it doesn't fit. It feels like we need to change the note here because it's like off. And unfortunately, this is like kind of a natural occurrence that this second chord here is what most people would refer to a transitional chord. This is not a chord that you would want to play for a long time. This chord needs a context, right? So that's also why in the bass in the multi-chord bass one hits, in these multi-chord bass hits, the second chord doesn't really fit anywhere, but you will immediately tell that if we play a different chord progression without the second chord, and I kind of just left it in because it's kind of necessary, right? We get some really, really, really cool results. So let's just kind of put this on here. Bum, 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 bum. And then we go. Bum, bum, bum. There we go. And this one doesn't fit either. Let's go with this one. And you can tell how it just kind of fits with all of these other chords. But yes, so the second chord in any key, because we can just kind of pitch this. The second chord will always sound kind of trash, and you guys probably also don't really use it as much, or you barely use it, and it's totally fine. Like, try to use all of the other chords like you usually would, and you will notice that it pays off with this sample pack. And now, for example, we can take another one. So this was D. Let's take this F minor one, and let's just make sure that if we want to go down to D, we go 1, 2, 3. So we go down 3. We could try doing this with Complex Pro. So we could go down Complex Pro and go. And then go with this one, and then and we are currently pitching it. So if you had a track that was in F minor, then you would obviously want to play it like this and pitch everything up 3 semitones, right? 1, 2, 3. And let's go in here and put complex on 1, 2, 3, and then it'll all be in key. And we could also just go ahead and use another BFX. Let's try and use this one and just pitch it up an octave. And I have some really spicy drums for in this pack for you guys as well. So for example, we have these really snappy snares. are these ones. And then you also have some pretty heavy kicks as well. So for example, the very first kick is very, very heavy. You can even see by the waveform. Are you only reviewing the sample pack today? No, we are not only reviewing the sample pack, we're also reviewing the racks that I released today on the Patreon. And we're going to use the racks plus the sample pack to make a cool little demo track. And kind of just show you why multi-chord basses are pretty OP. And why they haven't really been done before, because obviously with things like retune popping up and stuff, when I found out about it, I knew that we would not be able to do samples like these. Is that a free pack for patrons or not really? It's for patrons. So if you are an elite Patreon, you will get this sample pack plus the 2 actually 3 new racks, obviously for free, which is, you know, you pay the Patreon to get the racks, right, and the sample pack. So it's not necessarily free, right? It's obviously, if you support me on Patreon and you are in the elite tier, you will get monthly sample packs. Monthly, right? Not yearly, monthly. Kannst du eventuell kurz Full Loop spielen. Problemchen ist, das erste ist ein ganz anderer Key. Das klingt dann so. Und dann ist das hier ein anderer Key. So we can, for example, do... Oh yeah, you're supporting the artist and getting it free. That's a nice way to put it, for sure. Because obviously, if you think about it, right, if you were to sign to the Patreon in 5 months, you would be able to get 5 sample packs with at least 50 to 60 samples each for $16, right? So there's a lot of value behind this, and these sample packs are a lot of fun for me, especially like all of these multi-chord basses are so much fun. And I can show you, for example, if we make a very specific drop here, like we use very specific drums. Let's go with a very trappy kick drum. Oh, why can I not hear that? I think I turned this off. Let's use this one, and let's use this very specific snare, which is number 9. 9. Das kann nicht sein. There we go. And let's do a simple rhythm like this. And this is, by the way, all like these multi-chord racks are definitely thanks to like retune. Without retune, it would be a lot harder to make these work. Let's do but it's not as simple like put a retune on it and that's all. Retune has to be really inside of the inside of the workflow or the processing chain, because if it's just kind of slapped on top of things, obviously you will lose the quality, you will lose the sub has to be separate. It's a really complex system. And you also have to account for like if you go to higher notes, you have to play an octave lower, and then it has to sound good there as well. So these are a lot more difficult than just a simple bass patch being pitched up. But let's go with something in. Let's go with something in. Let's go with something in E minor, okay? Oh, let's actually see. We had this one. Let's go with C sharp, because I really want to show you a really cool kind of drop you could do with this very specific bass here. Yeah, let's load up a simple. Let's go a little slower. Let's go 145. And let's pick this one. And then obviously this is kind of messed up in time, which is kind of fine in this case. We could kind of just cut it up and kind of like reposition it. And like this. Like that. And then if we are in C sharp, let's check out some of the steps that we have, and let's go. Maybe we'll use that one. Let's go with a back effects. None of these are in C sharp, so we'll kind of just have to figure out what the note is playing. So this is a D sharp, which means we only have to go down 2 semitones. So let's turn this down. Let's also pick E minor. And then we have to go down. If we want to go, let's go 1, 2, 3. So here we only have to go down 3 semitones. And this obviously sounds really weird, but let's go ahead and start with the highest kind of chord that we have here. And then we'll make a really, really long progression here. We might want to fix some of the some of the timing here. Move this out a little bit, because obviously most of these are recorded in 150 BPM, so you kind of just have to just cut them out and back into the rhythm. Is there any processing on the master? There's no processing on the master. And then we go down to the lowest note. And then we go up an octave here, maybe. Oops. You can also just go in here, and I believe you can, let's see. You can just move this over here. And then we can move this. And then we'll go with the last chord, which is over here, and we'll put that in here. Let's see. This one has to go over here. Let's move this out again. And then just move that over there, and then... Oh, these are all off-timed. Because these need to be 150 down here. So always just type in 150 when it comes to tempo. Let's throw on a little bit of a ping pong. And maybe let's pick another C sharp bass step. And then go and then maybe we could actually throw something in here as well. And let's throw in one of these bass glitches, because the bass glitches in this sample pack are as well all tonal. You guessed it. Also much more advanced than just simply like a pitch map or a retune. So let's go ahead. Let's pick one of these. I really like this F minor here. So I remember we had to go, if we go to C sharp, that's far away. 1, 2, 3, 4. In that case, what we're going to do is we're going to not use a normal stretching mode. We're going to go with tones, because tones can preserve a lot of the transients. How many do we have to go down? 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's listen to this. And since it's a glitch, it still kind of works. Let's try it with this one. Let's go tones. Let's put it down. Let's pick this one rather. I think I like this more. Let's go tones. And obviously you would want to make sure that you're not like using a sample that is too far away from whatever key you're playing it, because then obviously you'll get issues there with the pitching and stuff. Let's copy the LFO tool here to the other one. And then we'll do... Let's push this a little bit with a V-clip. And obviously we can change the snare, right? So we can go over to the snare here. And we can switch the snare to something else. And we even have a couple of toms. So maybe we do a little bit of a cut here, and let's try to add these toms. So I made a total of 5 toms because toms are really difficult to make. Toms are very... To emulate a tom, I think you would have to go further than just using sine waves, etc. You would have to go with noise and then using comp filters and with high resonance and everything. But in this case, I managed to make a couple of toms here. That sounds decently believable, I would say. And what we can do is we can just kind of channel them one after another. So we'll just kind of drag these over here, and then we'll just try to do a quick little roll. And maybe we'll pitch some of these up. And then do that. We can also throw on a shifter. And where's the shifter? Oh, it keeps throwing this out for some reason. Let's put that on frequency. We can even pitch it up and down. And then we have a little bit of a nice... Right? And now let's switch the bass. So this bass is nice and all, but I want to switch it to something else. So let's go back to our multi-chord samples. Let's go with this one. This is in D sharp. So let's take a look at D sharp. We are in C sharp. So we only have to go down 2. Let's do that. And there you go. And then let's cut this out. And then maybe we switch the bass here. And then let's switch the bass here as well. So we can actually select all of them and then move them. And we'll move it to the very last bass here, because that one should make sense. Let's throw in another one. Maybe not that one. Maybe this one actually, and then we'll pick this bass right here. Maybe we can actually do like a... And I'll do another one. Then we have actually... We'll grab this one. We can even go ahead and pitch these around. So let's see. Let's just keep it to the original. And then also another thing we can do, right? We can just take some of these tonal, atonal back effects that we have here. Let's pick this one, for example. Let's put it to warp and 150, and let's just put it to repitch so it doesn't pitch it. This isn't really in tune, so in this case we could go by using something like retune. And then just putting that to C sharp, chromatic to minor. And then one thing I've noticed is that you don't actually have to turn up the pitch correct all the way. You could just use a little bit of it. And it'll still like pitch correct it quite nicely. So now you can see where the vision is here, right? I think here we want to change the so we're going to go down something like that. I'll cut it here to have the triplet grid, and then this one has to be the last one as well. Bum 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 bum. And then we switch to this one. And then we have something like this. Welcome Hyperunion. Let's add a couple more rides, because these rides are decent, but I want to add a little bit more. Let's add the signature, the signature deluxe to it. OMG, what is up? Nasco, dude, you are insane. Much love. Thank you very much. Much love back. I think here we would probably want to do like a brrr, so like another one. Put it a triplet and just put this one here. But yeah, this is all possible thanks to the multi-core bases. And again, correct me if I'm wrong, but I haven't seen this before. These kind of like samples here that I've done, I don't think have been done before. And I'm planning on doing more in the future of these, because these are quite fun to make. They're pretty difficult, because Because, like, again, you don't lose quality on these. You can pitch, like, you don't have to pitch them around because they're already pitched for you, right? Which is the cool part. So all of these are already pitched for you. Yo, something is really messed up in this part, but... Let's go back to 145. What are some tips on sound designing? I'm kind of losing motivation and I can never get it to sound high quality like yours. I think in that case, a consistent post-processing pipeline is really important. So, for example, if you were to use something like, this is a self-plug, but if you were to use something like N-Power Rack, this sort of pipeline that is inside of this rack is very much caters towards getting very consistent results. Like loudness-wise and thickness-wise. And there's also a couple of healthy habits instead of like serum and stuff that you can do always to LFO, maybe the level again once you're done with most effects and stuff, cleaning up the tails of sounds, etc. It's it's a lot of healthy habits that you have to get accustomed to in order to, you know, not end up with a messy sound. But other than that, it's just practice, really, right? It's a lot of practice. And speaking of sound design, let's get into the next aspect of the stream, which is the 2 racks that I just released on the Patreon. So what I'll do is I'll just grab, let's see. I'll grab this very first part here. And I'll go mids, and I'll put this to 150, and I'll record it. And I'll actually turn this down a little bit because it's a little loud. So let's turn this down. -12. Also, one quick little tip. If you have bass samples playing after another, they'll generate clicks. So just select everything. If you're in Live 11.1, just select everything, right-click it, and go to create crossfades on clip edges. And that'll just kind of clean everything up for you. It's so dope that you can do this now, right? It's like such a... Like it definitely wasn't all that possible before because of, you know, things like Retune make it a million times easier to pitch your things. But in this case, it's incredible. And what I'll do, I'll put this into here. I'll get rid of this. So, the next track that is up in this... Subtronics once said good sound design is being able to turn a lot of knobs very quickly without thinking about it too much. So the thinking about it too much stage is a little tricky because you are definitely experiencing muscle memory there when you do stuff like that. I think what he's saying is that he has an idea for a sound and he's very fast at troubleshooting all different kinds of effects to see if those things add to his desired sound. So he'll add a phaser and see if it works. If it doesn't work, he'll go with the next thing. And in that case, obviously it's good to have muscle memory to be able to load up effects that fast and have them work fast. But it's definitely like really good sound design is definitely dependent on skill, practice, and muscle memory. Absolutely. So this already sounds like a complete drop, right? Like a drop loop. Wow, that's so sick. Holy shit. Let's copy over the drums here. Okay, so the next rack is a very, very special rack, and I think you guys will like this rack because this rack is quite unique. It hasn't really been done before. I don't think there's a Maxo Live device that can do this. But this rack I have called the N-DEQ, basically. So if I go to racks, you'll find this little guy here that you can grab from the Ableton Racks channel on the Discord channel if you are an elite, or you can grab it from the Patreon. And what this thing does is this is a dynamic EQ that reacts fully. And I'll just load up another EQ8 and not have it do anything because I don't want the chat there to annoy me. That reacts to whatever, obviously, the input signal is. So what this is, and this is N-DEQ, which basically means NASCO Dynamic EQ, is that you have, with the normal N-DEQ, you have 2 dynamic EQs, and then with, let's see, with the N-DEQ XT, you get a total of 4 dynamic EQs. Now, this obviously takes a little longer to load up. The actual rack is pretty simple. There's not many plugins in it, but there is a Maxo Live plugin sort of built in, obviously, into Ableton, which is now generalized in Ableton 11 and 11.1, and it's so powerful. And I'm just going to go with N-DEQ because it's a much simpler example here. But this is pretty OP because it does the same thing that the FabFilter Pro Q, the Pro Q 3 dynamic EQ can do. It's a little more simplified, and it can only do subtractive, which is kind of the point of dynamic EQs. I've seen very little people actually use dynamic EQs as an additive EQ. So what this can do is it can filter out harsh frequencies. And it can isolate frequencies and use that as an envelope sort of input to then subtract EQ-wise. So N-DEQ and dynamic EQ. So for example, if we have this bass loop, I guess, what we can do is we have this DEQ1 and we have this DEQ2 section, and we have these gain sections. And what this gain section basically is it turns up the gain, the input gain for the envelope that will then subtract reacting to that input gain. So you can see that this EQ curve is fully moving by itself. And this is super fun. So I can now move the frequency around. But what it does is this is a very decently smart rack. So not only does it move the affected frequency range, but also the isolated frequency range is being moved. So that means whatever this DEQ, this dynamic EQ is reacting to directly what you see on screen. So whatever you see on this frequency spectrum, you can see, for example, the sub here. If I move over to the sub, it will react a lot stronger. It's basically kind of like an EQ sidechain, yes. But it's reacting to itself, which is, you could also go ahead and use something like Soothe, for example. Where is it? Where is it? Right here. Obviously, Soothe, I think, is like over $100, like $200. And it does a lot more on the whole processing of it kind of processes the whole frequency spectrum, and it adds just a little bit of smearing to sounds. But if you want to have like a quick fix and something that is stock Ableton and that you can load up anywhere, basically, right? And that is not, a lot cheaper and a lot more. With Soothe EQ, you generally speaking will also remove a lot of the resonances that kind of make the sound, and that is something that isn't really talked about much about Soothe, is that it is really good for problematic sounds, but for sounds where you really only have to tackle a specific frequency spectrum, it can do too much too quickly. While with the DEQ here, you can directly target the frequency range, and then on top of the frequency the frequency position here, and the gain, you can also change the Q. So turning this down is going to give you a wider range of EQ reduction. And by the way, I love SUV. Don't think that I don't love SUV. Obviously I've bought it, so I'm using it as well. But I think I'm going to incorporate this a lot into my mixdowns. Because this being dynamic allows me so much to just like not have to worry so much about like doing EQ movements and curves. So basically, you know, with a normal EQ, and that's why I never actually EQ my master, is because any EQing that you do on the master is going to be constant, right? So if you remove, say, I don't know, like 5 decibels at 6,000 hertz, that counts for everything in your mixdown. Even that vocal in the background that doesn't even need that change gets it. So with a dynamic EQ, it really only reacts when it has to, which is kind of the idea. So for example, if we can just directly test this. If we take a look at this, so you can also go to each individual filter here. You can obviously turn them off, but why would you do that? And you can see the frequency here. Unfortunately, the frequency does not get shown over here, but you can see it just by clicking onto here. So you can see we are at 336. Let's make the Q quite surgical, and we can just directly test if this is snake oil or not by just adding another EQ up front and just really pushing that frequency region. So I'm going to just add a peak here and go 336. And let's just say we had, you know, a problematic sound that had a huge bump over here. You can tell that if I take it off, it's far more reactive to it now. Let's take off the dynamic EQ. Can you hear that amount of... let's go with a more aggressive... Sure, let's go with 864. So let's just move it up. I think it's around here. And let's turn up the dynamic EQ. Turn it off. So now you can see that the dynamic EQ is working less. With it on, it's doing a lot more. So it's not snake oil, right? And again, what's really cool about this DEQ rack is that when you move the Q here, I've also accounted for this. So when you make the EQing wider, the isolated signal that is then driving the envelope is also getting wider in its frequency range. So it's all accounting for it. So for example, we can really filter out this second harmonic here in the sub very naturally. If we wanted to do that, right? And then you have the second filter, which you can also be very surgical with. And this is the N-DEQ. So this has 2 dynamic EQs. It's totally light on CPU. I think it only took like 1% of my CPU when I loaded it up. But then you also have N-DEQ XT, which is a monster. This has a total of 4 dynamic EQs. So now we have access to a total of 4 dynamic EQs, and it can get quite crazy. So we can start adding these dynamic EQs in here. Now, obviously, this sounds pretty decent already, so there's not much issues in this. But if we were, again, to add some really crazy peaks, and we wanted to fix that, we could. And let's give it some really harsh high end. All right. And then let's move this up. Fixed. And the reason why these gains go up to 24 decibels is that if you have a really, really quiet sound, obviously these dynamic EQs are also going to react differently. So that's why you have the option to really push the input signal. So that's for the dynamic EQ. This is the very, very first iteration of something like this in Ableton. I don't think it has been done before. So you're getting multiple things that haven't been done before if you sign up to my Patreon this month. So I personally will probably start using the N-DEQ on just fixing stuff. Actually, I'm probably going to use the N-DEQ on actual like sound design. And then I'll use the N-DEQ XT on like if I want to really like clean up a sound dynamically, right? Because we've all had this issue where we've had a vocal and it had a crazy amount of high end in some specific point, and you wouldn't really want to automate it. You would kind of just want to have something dynamically react to it. Is it reacting to the whole signal or to a specific frequency? It is reacting to a specific frequency. This is the crazy part. So when you turn this up and you select a specific frequency region, it will take that frequency region, isolate it, and use that as a driver for the envelope. So, and this also accounts for the Q. So if you make the range here, the frequency range wider, the isolated signal will also be wider. So it's absolutely like dynamic in this case, right? And it's lightweight. It's decently lightweight. Now the second one, the second rack that we have today is the sort of the final version of what I've been using already, which is the D3 toner. This is a very much like a really, really simplified rack. This is just like a delay, and it's not really all that great. It's not really thought through all that well. So that's not what I'm giving you. What I'm giving you with the Patreon is something new, which is called the N-TRIDELAY. And this thing is also super, super sick. So let's load up an EQ8 here. Let's just turn that off. Let's grab one of these bass sounds here and let's just use that. Let's make that pretty quickly. So let's go Complex Pro and just make it faster. Let me move it over here. So if we load up N-TRIDELAY, let's delete it. This is what the raw sound sounds like. Then with N-TRIDELAY, it sounds like this. So you have a couple of options here which are pretty essential to mixing and blending tonalities into sounds. So first of all, you obviously have the 3 different times for every single delay. So you have D1 time. Did you just say snake oil? Yes. You have delay 2 time and delay 3 times. So the way this rack works is that it creates a separate parallel chain of 3 delays that are all very specifically set up. So, for example, as you can see, you have obviously these 3 different delay times here, but you also have a D1 ping pong macro down here. And what this does is it enables the ping pong delay for the very first delay. So if you have an entirely mono sound, for example, if we take this and make it mono, you can take this ping pong and make something stereo with it. As you can hear without it, mono, stereo. Pretty cool, right? So then the other thing that you have is obviously the delay feedback. And then by messing around with these times here, you get all kinds of different tonalities. And then you have the filter frequency over here, which is also extremely carefully picked. Usually I would recommend something between 400 Hz and 1.6K Hz. And then the extra thing that I've added here in also this mix, does not actually turn down the input signal or the original signal. So this mix really just adds it on top, which was very important to me that that wasn't happening. So you could retain the original volume of the original sound while adding a nice layer to it. But the other cool part here is the internal sidechain compressor. So what this does, and this is luckily this is directly wired inside of this rack. So this will work anywhere. There's some racks that I've tried where I've done like sidechain compression from other channels and it will just break. But in this case it works. And when you turn this up, let's just turn up the delay here, the feedback. If we turn up the sidechain compression, it will basically just... It will duck the sound whenever the original sample is playing. So if we make this a bit louder here, you can tell it's ducking the delay whenever the original sound is playing. This is very, very useful when you don't really want it to interfere harmonically with the bass layer, but you want a nice tail, for example. So if we do for example, bum bum ba bum ba bum. Let's do something like this. Let's put this on. There we go. Let's make this one shorter even. And this one as well. There we go. And let's mess around with the times here. We can take off the sidechain compression. And now you have a lot more of that tonal delay layering with the original sound. With the sidechain compression, you kind of keep things clean. And if you layer this with retune, you get an instant color-based machine. So let's go. What was this? What was the key of this? This was D minor. So let's go D from D chromatic. Let's go to D minor. Turn up the pitch. Let's just leave it right here. And now let's mess around with the delay times. And another thing I've done in here, and this is this is an issue when you try to work with tonal delays, is that if you mess around with the time while it plays, it almost pitches the delay here, which can be a cool effect. But if you, for example, wanted to automate this to change with every hit, so that you get different tonalities out of every single hit, it would just get really messy. So all of these delays are on the fade mode, which eliminates this pitching situation. But what this enables you to do is it enables you to, for example, do a very, very quick change in tonality without experiencing any weird pitch shifting or like pitch transition. You can even go a little bit more extreme here. Let's do another change over here. And this basically is just a very, very clean way to do this. Let's go in here. Let's keep messing with these. Let's turn down the sidechain compression a little bit. So now you can see how we can really like change the tonalities of these things. And then maybe pair that up with a DEQ, maybe afterwards. There's some really annoying... There we go. Let's turn down the feedback a little bit. And let's turn on this. So you can tell without it and with it. Maybe we can even layer this on top of the original bass group. We kind of can if we do something like this. How's the gain doing that? So what the gain is basically the input gain for the envelope follower that is inside of this rack. And that is basically driving the subtraction or the dynamic EQ. It's basically an amount of dynamic EQ. So when you turn this up, it basically, I should have probably phrased this or named this a little bit different. But in this case, it really only made sense to call it gain. Because what it's doing is it's basically turning up the amount of I should have probably called it something like DQ amount, probably. But basically what it's doing is the higher you put in the gain, the more it'll do the reverse subtraction. The thing is, when I was looking at the FabFilter Pro Q3 and how the dynamic EQ works here as well, it's not quite clear. It's not quite saying you like this is the dynamic range, but there's like not, this is not telling you that's the amount. And here, clicking on this, it says auto, but like there's a threshold, and it's all a little bit mysterious, but you kind of know how it works. And I think especially if you look at the documentation on the Patreon or the Discord, you will immediately understand how it works. It's very, very simple. Let me actually check. Would this still work? Oops. Okay, wait, that is actually correct. Let's do a Alt3. So, for example, if I think I'm safe to load up the Discord. Let me check. Yeah, it's basically, so I can just read it for you if you want me to. Just a little bit. Again, it's all documented on the Discord. What I've written is, this is where the DEQ gain, this macro lets you increase the input volume of the targeted filtered frequency region, and therefore increases the envelope amount of the dynamic EQ that subtracts depending on input volume. That was a very complex sentence. Man, I need to start making these racks a little bit more simple to use, but it's a simple knob. Once you've understood how it works, you're gonna love it. Turn this up for a desired amount of dynamic filtering. Depending on the loudness of the input signal, you may have to further increase the gain macro if your input is relatively quiet. N-DEQ will now dynamically reduce any harsh peaks when they occur at that frequency region. So that's what the gain is doing. It's basically you have some kind of sound and you put the rack at some kind of frequency region, and that frequency region, for example, is very loud, so that's an annoying resonance or something. And then turning up the gain will turn up the gain of the envelope follower, which basically then reduces the frequency or the filter at that point. I should have probably called it amount. Like, I should have probably just called it amount. But the documentation is there. You can read and understand what it's doing. And that way it's extremely simple. So let's go back. There we go. So with that being said, you can also just you can just go in here and just you know, it's extreme. Like, it's something that is it's something that's difficult to explain. but so easy to understand, right? If you load up DEQ and you turn up the gain, you see what it's doing, right? Like it's basically that. So this is very dependent on whatever the sound is though. So for example, you can see here it's kind of working, but if we move over to the sub, which is very, very loud, you will see that the curve or the curve here, the EQ will drastically go up or go down basically. It's a fully dynamic EQ that reacts to whatever the input signal is, and that is what the gain basically does. So you can see even when we change the key here, or the notes, it doesn't even react all that strongly anymore. So yeah. I see what it's doing, but I have no idea how the bands are moving automatically. It's a little bit of magic, isn't it? Me, the chat producer, using Procrew 3 instead. Well, it's an Ableton stock kind of thing. But yeah, isn't it going to be destroyed? I can kind of understand how it works. How about the sounds phase with that? The sounds, yeah, well, obviously if you put it on a sub, then you would need like a linear phase EQ to not get any phasing issues. So the purpose of this rack is cleaning sounds. Yes, it's basically a much more simplified version of, here's a really annoying frequency that you kind of want to get rid of, but you don't really want to just turn on the whole sound because of it. So you load up the DEQ, you have free controls, and you can just fix it, right? But yeah, there's a lot of cool new systems that I've introduced with this month's Patreon, which is obviously also the multi-chord samples, which, I don't know, for the people who are probably new to this stream, there's a new iteration of a new way to do samples now, considering that things like retune and pitch map are really popular. And that is to make bass sounds that are in key, and you have all 7 chords basically playing in one sample, and this allows you to build chord progressions out of just one sample. So if we have this, for example, this N bass 09 here, which is in C minor, I have all 7 chords of that scale playing in one sample, which sounds like this. Let's put this to 145. There's also a little bit of sidechain we might want to. We have a couple of other examples here. And then if you just kind of chop them up and then use different sections of it, because obviously those are different chords, chord progressions, or I guess just chords, you can get stuff like this. Or you can get stuff like this. We have to go up to 150 though. And again, this is all just one sample. So if you take a look at the sample, you can see that we're basically just working with 7 different iterations of that one sample, but in different chords. So all the possible chords in the scale are in here. And this is a much smarter way to do bass sounds if you want to make chord progressions out of them, is because if you just try to, for example, this obviously follows a very simple pattern of the bass notes of any scale, which is explainable very easily. So it goes, if we are D, we go D, E, and then whatever the other notes are, we can just kind of check here. Let's go D, if we are in D minor, so we have D, E, F, G, A, B flat, and then we have C. And if we were to throw in a serum, we would hear that it's the same thing. But the difference is that you can usually not really, you can't really pitch these kinds of chord samples, right? If we were to try and pitch this up, it would not really be the same as this. It sounds similar, but this is not necessarily in key. So, for example, if we were to go, let's go with F. The sub note would play the same note, but the higher you go, or the different you go in the pitching, in the semitones, the more off key you get from the initial sample. And also, obviously, you lose quality, right? When you pitch this with Complex Pro, we can just turn this off. If we pitch this with Complex Pro, we would lose quality. So that's why these are handmade, hand-pitched, manually pitched for all different chord variations in a scale. And then the last one is actually the highest note, but because it's so high, the sub would sound pretty bad. That's why it's an octave lower. And that's how we can just use one sample to create a whole progression inside of a drop. And then we have another little demo here. Another quick little thing I can recommend is always to select your two samples here and press create crossfades on clip edges, so we don't get any weird surprises here with the... actually, we should probably just do this in this case. And then, of course, on top of that, to support all of that stuff, in the sample pack, you get all of these nice little back effects that are also tonal. And then you also get these sweet little tonal steps. Which are also in different keys. And the cool part about these multi-chord basses is that they're also major chords. So every minor chord has a major relative chord. So if you have a track in major, just take a look, look up what the relative minor chord is, and you can use these bass multi-chords. Multi-chord basses, basically. And then you also have a couple of bass glitches, which we had an iteration of in the first sample pack, the first Patreon sample pack. But now they're all tonal. Which is pretty damn cool. And then on top of that, obviously you have the snares, the drums, the kicks. So, and the snares especially are very spicy in this pack. And a couple of toms. And rides, cymbal loops. And a couple of atonal back effects. But yeah. It's just super fun to actually make drops with this because it's all kind of harmonically intact. Ooh, there's something else playing here. What the hell is going on here? Oh, it's probably this stuff up here. So yeah, let's try actually making a little bit of a drop here. Which we've kind of already done, but what we'll do is we'll just kind of delete everything again, and then we'll kind of do this stuff from scratch. So I'll do this, delete this, delete all this, and we'll keep the drums here because obviously that's like there's no reason to really delete these. Well, we'll delete the very first two here. Let's go over here. Let's get rid of all of this stuff. And I want to kind of create some really like some tight mix down. So I'll load up this kick and I'll go ahead and load up a tight snare. Let's tighten up the cymbal loop here a little bit. Let's actually add a couple more rides. Now let's put let's put an auto pan on this one. Why not? That's pretty tight. Cool. And let's try and do a little bit of a cooler rhythm here. Something like that. Now let's pick one of these bass chord basses, multi-chord basses. I think I'm gonna go with this F minor one, but I actually don't want to go with F minor. I'm gonna grab a quick little. I want to go with E, so I'm just gonna pitch it down. Just pitch it down like that. Rhythm or rhythm. Let's try with like a bum, bum, bum. Let's put this. Maybe we can grab another one that has probably this one. Let's pitch it down. Let's figure out which one it is. So this has 2 hits, so this is the third chord, which should be this one. So maybe we can do like a... Oh, come on. Maybe another one. Let's try listen to the sub here. So what we'll do is we'll just load up an EQ8. Yeah, okay, so this one needs to be one lower. Let's start off with a different chord here. It's probably this one. And then we'll go ahead and pick the first one. Delete this. And then we'll go down to... So So we'll go something like that. And then maybe we'll pitch it again. Do something else. Yeah, something like that. And then just put that there. And now let's just start adding some interest in rhythm. Maybe we'll use another sound. Let's use this one. And this is where it gets a little tricky, right? So we are in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we are in the fifth chord, so the fifth note. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we need to go 2, 3, 4, 5. We need to go in here. And now we need to figure out, and this is kind of like the difficult part. So this is in D minor, this is in F minor. So how much do we have to pitch it? 1, 2, 3. So we have to pitch it up 3. 1, 2, 3. 2. Actually sounds like it's too high. Yeah, I think we were pitching at, oh wait, we are in F, and this is in D minor. So 1, 2, 3. Oh wait, we are not in F. We pitched this down, right? 1. Right. So we are in E, 1, 2. Okay. So that would be the correct. Let's put a crossfade. Let's do another one. I think we have to move this a little bit. Move it all a bit further. And put a crossfade. And then we have something like that. It actually sounds like the note here is like an octave higher. So maybe, yeah, it sounds like we would have to go lower. The issue with going lower though is the fact that obviously we would lose quality. So maybe we just need to pick a different sound. Or what we could do is we could, oh, this could be kind of sneaky. Let's figure this out. Let's try this one. Again, the fifth. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, this is 5. And this is an E, so this only needs to be pitched up once. So let's go ahead and grab this one. Seems like F minor. Wait, we're on E. Right. Let's go triple grid. Bam, bam, bam. Move this over. Move this over here. Great crossfades. Sounds like it's like an octave too high, right? That's probably because we're picking a chord here that is too far behind. And when this is an F minor, let's check this out. This is an E now, so this is probably already playing a lower note. So what we could do in this case, we could probably just cut out the sub on this. And then just kind of pitch this down an octave. And just switch this. which should technically work, right? And then we'll just kind of pick all of these and kind of just, oops, select all of them. And then we'll kind of get the same sound. Yeah, that works. Let's kind of saturate this up here a little bit. Add a little bit of autofilter. Make sure that all of these are crossfaded. Now go to the back effects and let's start adding some nice little back effects. Are we actually an E minor? This is an F minor. F, E, yes. We went down one, yes. Is there some weird stuff on here? Let me check. No. Something is off in the key right now. Let me check something. Should be correct. But it sounds off for some reason. Really wondering why it sounds so off. Probably because this is playing like a different... And probably because it's too loud. Yeah, this should be correct. Even though it does sound off, doesn't it? Can't be the only one, right? Where's retune? Let's do a quick check. We got a E, chromatic, minor. There we go. I think if we are at it was just this one note. I want to give something a quick try. Because I think I fixed this. I think this was an issue that I had earlier, that there was a note in here that is in key, but it sounds off key when it's like a chord. So it is in key, but let me check something really quickly. I'm gonna go something that is directly in E minor. Oh, this is a MIDI channel. Can't do that. See? See what I'm saying? See what I'm saying? This is an E minor. This is the same chord. So this is the other issue that can happen, is that if your chord structure is built a little bit differently, and there's certain dominant notes that will clash with this. For example, in this case, it works. And even if we were to switch this to something else, let's do this one. Let's go with the last one. So you have to be a little bit careful. That's why I would probably recommend all of you to get Retune. It's because you can easily fix these. If we go to, like, here wouldn't make. I think here would actually like sound dissonant if we did it the other way. See? Here we moved it down a semitone to F sharp. So like now is you know, with it really depends on what the sort of the harmonic structure is of your whatever bass patch you're playing. So let's load up the other one and let's just kind of confirm this. Oh, let's say yeah. Let's turn this off. So can you hear how this sounds totally fine? But now it wouldn't quite fit as much. So yeah, it definitely depends. If you take a different, like if you take one of these and you pitch them into a different, oh, of course. I mean, it totally makes sense. Okay, so here's the thing. Major and minor chords have a different structure for when they have two notes that are one semitone apart. And if you pitch an F minor chord down to an E minor chord, then you also have to account for that structure, right? So, for example, then this is why it's happening. This is why it's only happening on this one specific note. This sounded totally fine on the normal E minor basses, but when we pitch an F minor bass down to an E minor, this one specific note can sound off key. So let's just pitch it down, and then we'll just not use any pitch correction here, and that's it. And then it should work. Let's go with the lowest one here. And now let's start adding these steps. Yeah, and that's what I've been saying, is that once we pitch this multi-chord F minor down to an E minor, we actually shouldn't have to fix the surrounding things, but we should actually have to fix these. But because this sounds fine, we can just kind of copy over the retune here and just fix this one specific note. And then let's do another. Actually, let's just take the. No, we do definitely need the E minor. What we can also do, in order to just kind of go around this issue, we can just take the F minor ones and then just pitch them down. Just one. Oh, it sounds a little off key as well. Let's just copy this over. Let's go with this one over here. Let's turn off the triplet grid. Let's go, if we are in D, if we go down, we should be in C, D, we need to go. And then we have something like this. Let's make this also make sense in the project here. So let's go add another one. Let's add a little bit of a bass glitch here in E minor. This one. So yeah, generally speaking, it would be wiser to just kind of try to use all of these multi-chord basses in their respective keys, right? We could easily do that by just, again, going back in here and just pitching it up, and then we wouldn't get all of these issues. So let's kind of move this around a little bit, and then move this a little bit, copy this again over here, move this a little bit. If we go back to the upper key, which is F, and we kind of just make everything else follow that. So we'll go in here and just move that up one octave. Move all of these up an octave. And fix the retune to F. Oh God, holy. Let's go in here. Turn this up. Put on complex, and let's put this to 150. I don't even know why I did that. And then let's just put this to 150 as well. Why was it down at 141? That's so weird. Oh God. That's correct. That's fine. Oh, this is probably all messed up here. We can actually just turn this off. No, we definitely need it still. You need to go to F. We need another sound in here, so let's go with an actual F minor one. Let's pick this one. Let's check out which chord it's playing. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's playing the 5th chord. So all we have to do is just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and cut that out. And here you can also hear how it's playing just one semitone differently compared to this. But if we were to play these together, it would sound fine. Let's try pushing the cymbals a little bit, and let's also delay them just a tiny bit. It's and then we can also go ahead and push these a little bit, because they sound pretty cool. Oh, look at this. All of these are, for some reason, really weirdly stretched over here. So let's just stretch them back. Bam, bam. Stretch this as well. Copy this, paste it, paste it, paste it. And then another thing I want to do is I want to solo this, and I'm going to use... Gonna just use these little transients here. And then what we're going to do is we're going to use our new N-TRIDELAY rack. So we'll go to N-TRIDELAY, and then we'll also pair that up with a retune. We'll go to Effects, we'll go down to Retune, load this up, and go to we are in F, chromatic to minor. And I need to make these a lot shorter. Like a lot shorter. And let's actually try to not make them shorter, but let's put these on warp and let's make them shorter this way. And then I'll just kind of duplicate them like that. That makes it a lot easier to work with. And then we'll just duplicate that. And now we can really mess around with this. And let's add a EQ8. And let's change the complete note here. We can even actually go in here and let's undo the automations here. And we'll just change it with every hit. So every hit here will kind of just like change how the delay works. Ooh, okay. Let's do the same thing over here. So we'll kind of just move this. And then do another one here. Move this up. And let's also do it for this one. Let's do that. Bam. Go over to this one. Copy this over as well. That's an old snare. Let's use one of the new snares. And here we would technically have to go with another retune and just fix that one note. So we'll go over to F, chromatic, and then minor. We kind of just have to fix that one. Everything else can kind of stay the same, so we can kind of just have it like this. Let's add another back effects here. So we'll go with something that is more atonal. So let's go with... Let's go with BFX. Let's go with this. I have a really, really cool idea. For the next part, we're going to do something really, really cool. So let's put this over here, and we'll just do a snare, and then we'll wait until here. And then we'll keep playing this until we get... Let's go ahead and get these out of the way. And we'll keep duplicating this, and then we'll pick these and these. Whoops. We'll move this up here. And we'll pick all of these, and then we'll kind of just move them over to a different one. Maybe this one. Maybe another one. Let's go. Let's go to another one. That was the one that we were using previously. And let's keep moving this. I think if we go this one, let's get rid of this. So now we get something like this. Let's switch the snare here a little bit. Ah, it didn't change. Okay. Come on, give me one that... it has to be this one. One more. I think this one can go... Yeah, this one can go up an octave now, because it's low enough, basically. So let's just stretch it out like that. And move these over a little bit. And then we got a cool little... And then maybe in this case, we can just kind of make it fall, make this one rise, maybe. And then we can get some cool little changes. Oh, look at this. This is the same... this is minus 11, so this is not the same base. Sounds like we moved... Which one is this on? Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4. And I don't think these are on the same note. So let me grab these. No, I want only these. Give me one. 1, 2, 3, 4. Wait, what? This is the same? 1, 2, 3. Wait, then these are not the same. This is the first. This is the first. But these are the same. I'm so confused right now. Oh wait, no. Okay, I get it. And then here we'll do, we'll get rid of this. Let's push this a little bit. Where's the VC V-clip? Yeah, now it kind of works, right? I really wanted to change these though. And then I only want to have this I think what's also happening here is because it's so slow, because it's so low, we're not really getting a note. So I'll just try to fix that. What's up, Castaway? That sounds pretty dope. But what is personally really annoying for me is that it's a little bit too much in total. So maybe we could just use N-DEQ, which will fix those harsh frequencies for us. Without it? With it? Without it? With it. Let's get it. Seems also that F minor has kind of a different vibe to it. Maybe that was also because of the way I used the chord progression, probably as well. Likely has a lot to do with it. So let's use the signature riser, and let's use the signature riser deluxe, which sounds like this, by the way. We'll use both of these. Let's add a N-DEQ to the whole bass group and see if we can find any annoying spots. Now look at how it really soothed the cymbals. Just nice and smooth. Ah, this is not pitched correctly. By the way, you can get these toms as well in the sample pack. Let's push this a little bit further into the sides. And let's also try to mix this up a little bit in the way these back effects kind of work. So what we'll do is we'll load up a BFX. And so load up this one, and we'll kind of just like so we are in which key are we in? We are in F and we are D, so that is a whole 3. And then all we have to do is kind of just decide where to play which. That didn't sound good, for example. That's better. Let's switch up the switch up the drum sample. Put this to 0. Put this to 1. This kick is very fat. I'll also show you some of these other kicks that I have in this sample pack. So this is kick number 2, for example. They're all very, very, very carefully crafted, right? It's for me, it was very, very important that all of these transients wouldn't be all too tonal, so they all because with very tonal transients, they don't really fit into every mix. But I've made sure that most of these sound like they can fit in any mix, basically. Then you have kick number 3. You have kick number 4. Looks like VR kicks. Well, one thing that VR always kind of understood is that the 300 hertz area, basically the thumb area, is an area that is this area specifically here. As you can see, there's a little bit of a damp here. It's an area that, generally speaking, makes kicks sound too roomy. They will sound extremely roomy, and having that sort of be reduced in the kick creation stage will always result in this little bit of a transition between the transient and the body. And obviously, this is not the case for like trappy drums, which look like where is it? Which look more like this. But generally speaking, this kind of like little transition here, this little let's call it like a belly, this little kick belly here, the transition from the transient to the body, is generally speaking sounds really good. So this is kick number 4. And you can tell, for example, this one has less of a belly and has more of a thumpiness, more of a roominess. While this one sounds less like it. Then you have the first trap kick, which is very, very distorted. I kind of went a little bit too hard on that one, but for the people who want a really, really heavy mix down, feels like people have been being compared to VR samples is probably a good thing. I feel like people have been praising his drums for years. Oh yeah, and they're awesome. And I think his don't fit in all mixdowns really, because making drums fit into mixdowns is more of a question of how much top end does my kick have compared to the mixdown that we're playing. Because for example, I could use this kick and I could turn down the top end, and it will struggle to come through the mixdown, even though we are still very, very likely hitting 0 decibels because the sub is hitting 0, right? So there's a false sense of loudness in drums because of the body of the kick drum. So you see the kick peak still at roughly 0 decibels, but it's not coming through at all. But if we push the top end, now it's really coming through. We also obviously now we're kipping, but if we had this at 0, it would still come through a lot more than this. And he kind of always understood this, and his kick drums always have a lot of high end, and that's why they like come through any mix. But you also want to be careful with that, because if you add too much high end, you kind of lock people into a very bright mix down. So you can always obviously turn down the high end. That is usually not really a non-destructive way, like not a destructive way. I think it would be, generally speaking, would be better if kick drums and snare drums would have less high end that you can then push post, rather than that all being already clipped into the drum sample. But yeah, that's one of the reasons why his drums sound so good, is because they have this really, really well balanced top end to like all of his drums have a very, very nicely balanced top end. And that's why when you load them up into any kind of mix down, they sound, really, really good, because they compete with everything else quite well. And then we have the more trappy kicks. And then you have kick 07, for example, which is also a trap drum and like a trap kick, but has a lot more oomph to it. And you have kick 08. It's a very flat kick, but as you can see, the waveform is very flat as well. But it sounds amazing. And then you have two more normal kicks again that have a little bit more roominess to them as well. But these, for example, have a lot of high end in the transient. That's why they come through so well. Especially, for example, with transients like these, this is quite clipped. I personally like to have a little bit of more of a retained transient like this, where you can actually see the waveform of it. But these, if you have a very, very, very loud mix down, and you want a kick drum that isn't too roomy but still cuts through incredibly well, kick 9 and 10 are for you, basically. But yeah, cool. So we did a little demo track here for you guys. I've showed you what is inside of the Patreon sample pack volume 2. I hope you guys enjoyed me going through this thing, because the whole idea with the multi-chord bass samples, and especially if you use them in their intended scale, and use the BFX in their intended scale, unless obviously you have retune and you can fix that one semitone difference in most chords. These are perfect for drops, right? Because you can actually get chord progressions inside of your drops, and everything just turns out to be a lot more interesting. Which is again something I don't think has been done before, or it hasn't. Maybe it's been tried. Like maybe people try to tackle that kind of thing, but obviously with bass design, it's in something entirely else. Like you can write a simple, like you could do this. You could write a simple chord like this, and then just do that, do that, do that, do that, do this, and do this, and then kind of just fix a couple of the notes that need to be fixed like that, and then load up like a serum, load up a sine wave, maybe add a second top harmonic here that will fit. And then, just turn this down in volume. And maybe add, I don't know, you could try a N-TRIDELAY. And then you technically have the same thing, right? So, if we were to freeze this, flatten it, we'd have the same thing. So we'd have the first chord. And you could just, play these, which is pretty cool. So usually what I really like is this chord, then this chord, and then this chord, and then this chord. So I wouldn't even use these other chords here. So I would, for example, do like a bam, bam, bam. So we'll do bam. And then do bam. There we go. then you have a nice little chord progression. Yeah, add another tri-delay. Let's add a retune to kind of get everything back into its pitch. So we are still in D, so let's go D chromatic, minor. There we go. And then you have, you know, the same concept, and we're building this whole chord progression just with this section. And this, again, the same thing could happen with, you could actually do like a chord stack, like a whole chord stack. We'll do a very, very simplistic one. We'll grab a scale. We'll do a major chord. We'll do a C major, we'll grab a chord here, and we'll do 4, 7, 16, and minus 24. And then we'll play this. So what we'll do is we'll go with a C, then we'll do the same thing, D, E, F, G, A. Oh, we are actually not in the right key, so go C major. But as far as I know, we can just kind of move this. And then, yeah. This was these two are obviously the wrong notes here. And then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and we need a 7th. Oh, we are starting from D, that's why. There we go. And then this one we will probably play out the lowest here. And then we can, actually I'm going to show you this little trick here as well. This is something I just recently found out. You can do the same supersaw serum technique that R5 did in Faceplant. So if you load up Faceplant, you can use a noise here to modulate the semi-scent. But what's really important is that you put this to sample and hold, so this other mode here. And then put the harmonic to 0 and put the shift up to 1000, which is 1000 hertz, kind of like the chaos modulator in Serum. And then we can just kind of duplicate this again and again, maybe pitch it down an octave. And then, you know, randomize the phase. And then we can probably use the same one. Well, let's actually do different ones here. So we'll kind of just mess around with the... don't mess around with the shift, but mess around with the phase here. We'll kind of just change the phase. And then we'll just automate the next ones. And then we'll go ahead and pan these. So in order to pan these, we'll have to go... come on. I don't want to duplicate a group. Get rid of this. Duplicate this group. Put this in here. Put this in here. Add an output. Copy this over here. We could have done this a lot easier beforehand. And then these are all still mapped. And then this one's left, this one's right, this one's middle. And now, when we play this, Let's do minus 36. Right, super simple. And then what we can do is we can just freeze this track. So chaos oscillator is serum, and serum is basically noise. Basically, it's sample and hold noise. Yes. And then we can just freeze this. Flume time. Flatten. And then we can just, again, maybe take this one. And then dun. And then we have this. This would have to go higher, but I don't have... This would, but we don't have it. We don't have it, so I don't have a at my disposal. But yeah, that's basically how these chord things work. Put retune and power rack. Put the and power rack on it. On this. It wouldn't do much, but what we can do is we can add a little bit of a low pass filter. And we could technically add, we could probably try throwing on vocal rack. And then maybe a triple delay, like a tri-delay. And then obviously it's not really in key, so let's use retune, make it into C, chromatic, and then major. So we have to... And now we can mess around with the tri-delay. But yeah, so anyways, that's one of the main reasons why I've decided to make N-TRIDELAY like a thing, is because using multiple delays to create tonalities that you otherwise wouldn't be able to get with just one delay is such an OP thing to do. As you can hear, obviously, over here, that's just driven by TRIDELAY. And that being retuned is OP. Any chance to add kilohertz racks to Patreon for people that don't use Ableton Live, please? Yes, I think that would be a dope idea. We can definitely do something like that once Faceplant, Faceplant and kilohertz, once they release their second 2.0 kind of release thing. There's no information on it yet, but it's gonna be a big thing. There's gonna be a big update for kilohertz. It's gonna open up so many doors for all the people across all DAWs, because all the things that I can do in Ableton with like the Max for Live stuff, the envelope followers, the envelope MIDI and all that stuff, the shaper, all of that stuff will be possible inside of the kilohertz ecosystem. It's gonna be crazy. It's gonna be so good. But yeah, what is ARA2? I'm not sure what that is. But yeah, honestly, we could probably like heavily lean into the oops. It happened again. Into the we can heavily lean into the kilohertz ecosystem once the big update comes out, and I think I'll do a bunch of streams on kilohertz once the big update comes out, and then honestly we might be able to introduce snap heap racks for the Patreon, and we'll do monthly snap heap racks. And honestly, at that point, it might actually be possible to just completely switch over to snap heap racks for the Patreon instead of the Ableton ones, because then all people can kind of benefit from it. Because the people who use Ableton, FL Studio, Cubase, whatever it is, and they will be able to benefit from this from the kilohertz ecosystem, because it's all VST, right? It's just have a host and you can have that whole system in there, which is pretty cool. So we'll see about that when it comes out. And other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed this stream. If you guys want to grab the sample pack and the Ableton rack, you can do so by getting the elite tier on the Patreon. There's also another royal tier open at the moment if anyone wants to grab it. I just haven't been pressing on it because I want the person who discovers it first to be able to get it. Yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed the stream. We went over a lot of cool things, and I hope to see you guys. Oh, another big thing, live streams. So this Sunday we're not gonna have a live stream, because this Sunday is going to be for the exclusive live streamers, for the exclusive live stream, because I have been doing a lot of live streams and I want to kind of let these live streams breathe for a little bit. So I'm not entirely sure yet, but these live streams might be once a week for now. But what I'm planning to do is to have a back-to-back. So basically 1 week we'll have a live stream on a Friday and a Sunday, and the other week we'll have a live stream only on Friday, so that I can move the exclusive live streams over to the Sunday for that week. I joined today. Sweet, that sounds awesome. Hope you enjoyed the sample pack and the Rex. And that way we can, still have 3 or 6 total live streams in a month, which is quite a lot. And all the people who are in the exclusive live streams can actually use the Sundays to be right when the exclusive live streams happen. Because what I've noticed is having them on Thursdays, most people are like busy, working or at school or whatever it is. And on a Sunday, everyone has time, right? Like most people have time. So I think we'll do a lot more exclusive live streams on Sundays, which will mean that this Sunday we're not going to have a live stream, unfortunately. But if you guys want to see more about production techniques and workflows and interesting and new little things that I've discovered, you can join the Patreon. You can either get the night tier, which will get you access to all exclusive live streams that already happened, and also the Blender live streams, and also obviously new live streams that happen. I'll also be dropping a big work in progress pack that I've done. All of the songs that I started on streams, etc., are going to be in a big giant pack that'll come out this month on the Patreon as well, with a lot of unreleased music. And other than that, to everyone who decided to join the Patreon, I'll see you guys on Sunday, hopefully, and have fun with the sample pack and the Rex. And for everyone else, I'll see you guys next Friday. And then we will see if the Sunday as well is going to be a live stream. But yeah, it would be awesome if you could do it tonight, so I can sit and watch them. You have to do the thingy, so I can see the live streams I joined today. Oh yeah, right. I need to add you to the list. You're right. I'll do that, of course. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this live stream. I'll see you guys next Friday, and have a good weekend. And yeah, I guess that's it. See ya.